what I said earlier on today, the value of information is just dropping. Do you know what I mean? So it's not the information thing that you need to be selling. Now, the juicy stuff. So let's go into the step 2, the message crafting. There's 5 points for us to go through this one. So the first one, highlight meaningful differences. So superiority means your product is inherently different in a way that matters to the customer. Superficial differences don't count. You need to show how your approach or solution directly impacts the customer's desired outcome. So again, what is it that they're really wanting at the end of the day? So think of it in the emotional impact. And then what I really think about is every human being is playing a social status game. It's all we're fucking doing. It's all, do you know what I mean? If I saw a dude at the gym and he had a nice watch on, right? And I was like, oh, dude, like I've got one really similar, like blah, blah, blah. And he's like, oh, thanks. And starts talking about it. I said to him, you do know what the gayest thing is a man can ever do is? He goes, what? I go, buy a nice watch because you only get compliments off other guys. Like, that's just it. I've never heard a female be like, oh, that's a really nice watch. It's like, and it's interesting. So if you think about watches.
My wife says, she only knows how much it costs.
Yeah. And it's like, when you think about watches, it's one of the most powerful status indicators, especially for men, but like one of the most powerful status indicators as to what is going on. Then there's the other side of the spectrum, which is like trying to anti-social signal. They're both playing the same games. So like, I'm wearing a fucking singlet, like I'm not dressed up. Do you know what I mean? Like, am I playing the other side? We're all playing it. This is the thing. We're all fucking playing the game.
Zuckerberg when we're in the same talk.
Exactly. The whole like tech billionaire in a hoodie. Do you know what I mean? Because it's kind of like, have you heard of the midwit meme? Right? So the midwit meme is like, let's say, for example, we use like online internet marketers. Everything's a bell curve. On one side of the bell curve, let's say getting in shape. All right? So how to get in shape, the midwit meme. On one side of the bell curve, it's eat good food, train. In the middle, it's listen to 45 hours of Huberman, make sure you've got your 4-hour morning routine, do your microbiome testing, all this stuff. And then on the other side of the spectrum, the expert, eat good food and train, right? So they're both saying the same things, but they're coming at it from very different examples. Ken Wilber in a spirituality context, I'm pretty sure he calls this the pre and post fallacy, right? So two people can be saying, let's say abortion, right? Both people could agree or disagree to abortion, but they're saying why from a very different reason why, right? So just because they're saying the same thing doesn't mean they're actually coming to it from the same philosophy of the way they see life. So meaningful differences is what actually matters with what I'm putting out into the world. The second one being the unique mechanism, right? So again, this is how am I now giving it to? If I use the example of I am selling a licensing model, right? So let's say with CM Tony, let's say I'm going to do a licensing model. I'm just going to give all these guys a business in a box, right? So the mechanism of what I'm selling is I'm going to give you a business in a box. You just open it up and you plug and play and you copy and paste and you click and go and you're just ready to rock and roll, right? So what is the mechanism in which I'm actually doing it? I remember another I'm forgetting his name, really good marketer. And he was using an example of, let's say I have the promise that you're going to have a luscious, green, gorgeous front lawn, right? You want to just like an absolute putting green of a lawn. I promise in 3 days, you're going to have the most perfect lawns that top professional golf courses, right? And you go, fuck, that's absolutely amazing. I can give that to you for $1,000. Fuck, that's really good. All right. The mechanism is for every 5 minutes, you've got to go and plant these seeds. You've got to kiss every single leaf of grass. You've got to do these you're not going to do it. You've got to eat shit for 3 days to be able to do it. Yeah, I'm not going to do it. It's the mechanism of what's actually happening, right? So especially like, let's say in the property world, it's how can you package the solution in what you have in a unique mechanism that makes it easier, faster, and cheaper for the person to get to that solution, right? It's Alex uses the example of weight loss. I can either, let's say I can use Ozempic, right, to be able to lose weight, or I can follow this, do you know what I mean, intermittent fasting diet to be able to lose weight. Well, fuck, I'm going to use this one. It's so much easier. So that's why this one is going to be worth in the market so much more, because the mechanism is so much more valuable to the person. And so this is where it's like, this is the point, like this step to this message crafting is not I want you to be able to have in this session a couple of ideas. However, it's going to take at least 3 days for these ideas to start germinating to something that we can really use. It's going to be a couple of weeks from now when something's going to, wake up at 3 a.m. Go, oh, fuck, now I've got the idea from what Chris was talking about. How do we now mold that into what we're doing? This third one is the thing that I love geeking out on. How do I build an argument against for what I am claiming and against everything that I'm wanting to throw stones at? So I literally think of rhetoric, the art of argumentation, and I want to be able to build the argument. I want to be able to, I'll even go to ChatGPT and I'll put, let's say, a sales script in, and I'll say, tell me all the pieces in which somebody could argue against this, right? And I want to see it. I want to be able to still man the opposition of the argument. Like any argument in my life, I want to be able to argue both sides of the story. I want to be able to argue a carnivore, and I want to be able to argue for a vegan, right? So then I can be able to get to what truth is for me. So then I want to think about, when it comes to your sales pitch in each of your offers, where is the arguments as to essentially, and the other word that we can use from argument, objections. What are the objections somebody could say as to why they're not going to take that next step? Why are they not going to opt in? Why are they not going to book a call? Why are they not going to buy? Think of those ones. Now, provide clear and measurable evidence. So what are the case studies? What's the social proofs? What is it that you can show them that essentially gives somebody that warm and fuzzy feel so that they know that they're safe to do what it is that next step is? For an opt-in, do we need to give a lot of proof for someone to give their name, number, and email? You got to give a little bit, but not much. To get a call, I need to give a little bit more. To get somebody's money, I need to give more, right? So it needs to scale up. The interesting part, just super clearly, the interesting part for us, because when I kind of founded this, I was like, I don't want to publicly share who our partners are, because I want my partners to have competitive advantage in the marketplace, right? Because if we share all of our stuff and this is what to do, well, somebody can just go to Facebook ad library and immediately start going through the ads and start seeing what's going on. Do you know what I mean? Now, this is why a lot of the marketing stuff and sales stuff we do is invisible to what other people can't see, and why we want to be able to keep that invisible away from them. But I want to be able to have evidence. So then I was like, well, I can't share names and case studies of who we shoot, right? So if we record a case study, I'm going to blur your face. Do you know what I mean? If there was a photo of us holding this thing together, your face will be blurred. I'm not going to show your face. Do you know what I mean? So there is an element. Now, how can I use that to my advantage? I can use that to my advantage because I can say, hey, when you join us, your shit is going to be safe and private. Do you know what I mean? You're not going to be just exploded out into the world and people then hassling you. I could then also come to it from a case in point. It's almost like it's a secret society. Do you know what I mean? I even heard, I was listening to a podcast this morning and they were talking about, they were doing sales pitches, pitching to get investors. And this guy was kind of we're the CIA of this XYZ thing. It's you got to get a shoulder tap to come in. I was like, oh, that's really fucking good. That's really fucking smart.
You heard of this committee?
No. So Tate did this.
Yeah, he did.
Tate did this really goddamn well. Really goddamn well. And I think it was there was a lot of smart marketing that went behind the stuff that he was being able to do. So when it comes to evidence, how can you show the proof that you need to prove to the person? How do you overcome their objections, right? How do you craft, and this is something I'd want us to do in this time together, how do you craft really good testimonials from your clients? Because if you can engineer really good testimonials, they will likely be some of your best ad creatives.